Hello and welcome to my Mega Man 5 speedrun tutorial. In this tutorial I will be going over the strats that I use. I would classify them as mostly intermediate to advanced, that sort of skill range. If you want the absolute tip-top best strats ever, then I would suggest watching one of the top runs and trying to copy them. There are also tons of clips on Baron Haynes' channel and on the Mega Man Discord. Both of those I will link to in the description. Alright, getting that out of the way, there are two major routes in this game. One is called Beat and one is called Beatless. Basically in this game you collect these letters. You can see Rockman 5 spelled out. If you collect all of those, you will get an extra weapon / companion called Beat, which will be very helpful on some boss fights and will reduce the overall RNG in the game quite a lot, thanks to how it works. So this tutorial will be going over the Beat route, which is currently slightly slower, and it is slightly slower overall, but unless you're going for very top leaderboard placements, I wouldn't worry about it. Beat is definitely the way to learn the game first, I would say. So throughout these robot stages we will be collecting these letters, just so you know. Alright, the mechanics in this game. I will not go over them in great detail, just what you can expect, assuming you have played Mega Man games before. In this game we have a very long slide. It's pretty much exactly the same as Mega Man 4 if you played that before. Our slide is 4 tiles long, as you can see. This thing in the middle here is exactly 4 tiles. So if I do a neutral slide meaning I'm not holding a direction, I just hold down and press A. You can see I slide exactly 4 tiles, which will be kind of important in some spots to keep in mind. You can jump out of slides in this game, no problem, no matter how short your slides are, or whatever. As long as you're not underwater, which is only relevant in one stage, or if you're overlapping with some certain background elements or ladders, which is relevant for this stage that I'm in, and maybe some other spots. But I will make sure to mention them when it's relevant, basically. Speaking of ladders, you climb ladders very fast in this game compared to some other games. It is still better to jump instead of climbing ladders if you can. You can also do ladder jumps as normal. Basically, as soon as you start seeing this animation, you can jump, which is good. Accelerates you a little bit faster. It is better in this game, even though this is a sliding game. So you could think that just walking off and then sliding as soon as possible is better, but it's actually better to do a tiny ladder jump and then start sliding. We have a buster. We can charge our buster in this game. We have 2 stages of charge. We have the half charge and we have the full charge. So normal buster shots does 1 damage, a half charge also does 1 damage, and a full charge does 3 damage normally. The great thing about the half charge though is that it moves faster than a normal shot, if you can see, compare them. And it's also slightly wider, which will be very useful in some spots. The fully charged shot is completely busted in this game. It will be used a lot throughout the run whenever we get the chance. But it has one major drawback, and that is we can't charge while we are sliding. So you can see, just to demonstrate, you can see how fast it charges up normally. But if I start holding the button and then start sliding, you see I'm holding the button and you can see how slowly it charges up. It basically just charges up during the turnaround animation there. So that will be important to keep in mind throughout the run. So you might need to walk in some spots instead of sliding, just to give you time to charge up. Right, there is one more thing that sets this game apart from other Mega Man games, and that is the super arrow, which we get from conveniently the first robot stage we do in the speedrun route. This is basically this game's version of Zips. It moves super fast across the screen. We will use it. We will use all the super arrows we have throughout all the stages, always. Maximize usage. There are a couple of quirks though. For one, it's very easy to climb up with the arrows. You basically clip through them. It's very easy to land on top of them. Like, you can see, even if I'm very close to the peak of my jump, I sort of clip onto it. Almost. Yeah. So it's very easy to land on them and keep climbing. The energy you can see on the my energy bar here, it drains very fast. But there are some things we can do to avoid that. It only drains when we are standing, when Mega Man is standing on the arrow. So if you can see, it takes 2 energy when I just fire one. But as soon as I stand on it, it starts draining energy very fast. Which means, of course, we don't want to be standing on it unless we're actually going somewhere. So normally, when we place an arrow, we want to be riding. If we want to save energy, we would do a jump as soon as we land on it, sort of like this, so that we just delay, like we reduce the time we're standing on the arrow. So this would be very common. So I would stand here a bit and practice this movement where you just do an almost full jump and delay landing on the arrow. Then there is one additional thing we can do to save energy, and that is running in front of the arrow. It basically, what's happening in the game is that you run off the arrow, which means it doesn't drain any energy for you, but then the arrow is moving so fast so that it clips you back onto it. And then as soon as you're back onto it, you regain control, so you run off it again, and so on. So it just drains energy a lot slower. We can demonstrate it here. If I stand here on the edge, if I just do a normal arrow, you can see it drains about half. But if I just do this and then start running on it, it drains a little bit less. That wasn't the best demonstration, but yeah, you can see it definitely drains less. And if I combine that even with the jump delay here, you can see it drains much less. So that is the basic idea. One thing though is that it costs 2 energy, but if you have 1 energy, you can still use an arrow, and it won't disappear when all your energy disappears. So what's gonna happen in most stages is that we're gonna use the last 1 or 2 energy to do a very long arrow ride somewhere. And that's about it, what you would want to know before we get started in the actual tutorial. Okay, getting into the game, there are a couple of things I would like to mention before we get started on the first stage. The first thing is that make sure you are on Rockman 5, meaning the Japanese version, instead of Mega Man 5, the English version. This will save time on the cutscene between the dark stages and the Wily stages. I think it's close to 20 seconds it saves, so it's a very easy time save to just make sure you're on the right version. Second, you can see in the beginning here, after this Capcom screen, there is an intro plays. Very nice intro, you should watch it if you haven't. But it's very important for the speedrun that you don't let this intro play, or at least cancel it as soon as possible, because certain scenes in the cutscene will or can mess with the super arrow mechanics, strangely enough. So that if you let the intro play, and then you get into the run, then suddenly certain super arrows will be hard or even impossible to do. So, very easy to avoid though, just basically start mashing start as soon as you see the Capcom screen, and then once you're on the title screen, you're safe. Last thing to know is that in this game you can actually like buffer the stage selects almost. Like you can hold the D-pad direction, including diagonals, as soon as this stage select screen starts fading in. And that can be very useful, especially if you're scared of like accidentally selecting. You don't have to time the stage selects basically. You can just hold the D-pad and then mash either A or start to just select the stage as soon as possible. So as long as you memorize which direction all the stages are, you should be fine. And that's it. Let's get into the first stage. Alright, Starman stage. This first screen can be very annoying because of the random falling meteorites. Luckily, it's the very first thing that happens in the run, so if you want to reset here, go ahead. You can try to avoid them. I wouldn't waste too much time trying to avoid them though. Just reset. So you just want to keep your movements tight, slide as much as possible, and start holding the charge about halfway through the screen. We never want to start charging too early because the charge animation can cause lag, so try to avoid that. Right here, as we fall down, we want to release the charge shot so it will hit this guy. It's very important that you don't repress B after you release the charge shot here, because this enemy reacts to B presses. So we just want to release the B button so it stays up there. Then we'll slide down and as fast as possible and fall down here. We kill these two enemies with 2 buster shots each. On the second one, you want to slide. You basically shoot once and then shoot once and slide. After you kill the second one, you want to also start holding a charge shot. So I space it out so my slide ends around here, where the ceiling ends. If you don't do that, you might have to jump and like bonk your head here just to cancel the slide. Otherwise, you will hit this enemy if you slide too far. Then you want to walk here and jump right when you pass like underneath this enemy. This will avoid all the shots. So your goal here now is to jump and kill this guy with the short shot and land as far left as possible on this platform, and so you can slide as far as possible. We land on the edge here. This is kind of tricky, but there isn't really any good like alternative strats. So just practice landing on the edge here. We have to jump, like if you land on the very edge, you can keep holding forward and jump without hitting this guy. Otherwise, you have to let go of the D-pad very briefly to jump straight up and then sort of curve around here. We want to release this next charge shot kind of not too high, but we also want to hit this guy as high as possible when he pops up. And then we want to slide as soon as possible as well, so when we hit the next enemy that's currently off screen. Keep holding a charge here as you fall down. Then you release it, so you hit this guy as he comes down, and then you hit these next guys as well. As soon as you release it, you want to jump up here, but you don't want to land too far left because it makes the next part harder. You kind of want to land a little bit in, and here's the tricky part. We want to slide, and then as soon as we start to slide, we want to press the B button, even though it doesn't do anything while we're sliding. We are actually using it to manipulate the enemies that are currently off screen, so that they start their attack sooner, so that we can avoid them without stopping. So both these next slides on this platform are sort of a slow roll from A to B, so you kind of hit B button in the middle of the slide. As we shoot this enemy, when we jump up here, we want to shoot 2 more times in roughly the same height to get the next 2. And on the so you press the B button 3 times, and on the 3rd time you also keep holding it to charge up. We release the charge as soon as we land here. You can land further left than this if you like. This will not hit this enemy. We have to jump over this enemy by doing a tiny jump. We're gonna slide here and do a tiny jump over this enemy as he comes up towards us. This is very scary, or can be very scary when you start out. So you can opt to just slide straight into him, take a damage boost, and just keep going. That's fine. We release the charge shot here to get both of these cannons. Then we need to, when we're sliding off this platform, if we want to avoid this enemy, we want to do another tiny jump. Very low spike ceiling here, so it has to be like just a few frames, and you will just make it over this guy. If you don't want to risk it, you can just slide off and then turn around so you can take a backwards damage boost on this guy. That's fine, and then you can slide straight through this. If you avoid him, you need to hold the charge, so you have a charge ready to kill this guy. Then there's just some normal platforming here. I want to kill some enemies here to reduce lag. We hold the charge as we're coming into the screen. We want to do a full slide, and we can jump. I use this line here as visual cue when I jump. This is not the fastest way to do this screen. If you want to do the fastest way, you have to do another micro slide here and jump as late as possible. There is gonna spawn an enemy from below, so you can't jump too late. Then we want to release this charge shot, so we hit the enemy that's on this platform, and then we don't want to charge again. If we're doing the fastest strat, we want to charge again, but hitting the last charge shot is very tricky, and if you're not gonna hit it, it's better to not charge at all because the charging here causes lag. So for this, what I would recommend in the beginning, just you do the 1 charge shot on this enemy and then you don't charge again. We kill this enemy, takes 3 shots. That's the only enemy, additional enemy we kill. Then we start holding a charge shot here. This hitbox is much nicer than it looks. As you can see, I'm basically inside the enemy. So this is just a tiny jump with the low gravity. Alright, Starman's fight. Basically the goal here is to hit him with charge shots as soon as you have a charge shot ready. You can shoot through his shield if you're close enough. And that's basically what I'm gonna explain about this fight. It takes kind of a lot of practice to be able to do it, like read his pattern and be able to always be in front of him as you finish your charge. But just doing it normally and kind of fast is no big deal. The start of the fight though, we want to hit him with a charge as soon as possible. We're basically gonna do a small slide, jump into him, and right before we hit him, we're gonna release our charge shot. And then we're gonna turn around and fire 1 normal buster shot on him. Because, yeah, bosses in this game have 28 HP. Fully charged shot does 3 damage, so if we only hit him with fully charged shots, we're gonna overkill him by 2. So instead of doing that, we can just hit him once with a normal buster. And that Starman stage, I would say, but there's actually one more trick here at the end. You saw me do a tiny jump. And that is because if you don't do anything after you kill Starman, you have about a 1 in 3rd chance to just get normal gravity during this fanfare. Let me show you this. So you have a 2 in 3rd chance of still having low gravity, which takes about 1.5 to 2 seconds longer for the animation to finish. There is a way to guarantee the normal gravity, and that is by doing a 1-frame jump, or like being in a 1-frame jump animation when the fanfare starts, basically when you lose control. So basically you want to do a 1-frame jump as late as possible, just before you lose control. And that will always give you the normal gravity. But that's it for Starman. Alright, here's the alternative way to do the lost screen of Starman stage. As I said earlier, for this one, you need to squeeze in extra slides. So you need to slide all as far as you can without hitting the enemy that's going to pop up here. We're still charging, so we need to do the same thing. We need to release the charge shot on this guy on the way up, and we need to immediately start holding another charge. And we want to maximize our sliding here. Right here is the important part. We're going to land on this platform, then we're going to jump, and on the way up, at a very specific spot, we're going to release the charge shot, land on this platform and slide as soon as possible. And if we release the charge shot on the correct height, we will kill both this enemy and the next enemy. This is because the platforms are still moving up, so this enemy kind of just moves up into our shot. And this is... I don't think it's pixel perfect, but it's close. It's very tricky to hit both of them. But this reduces lag by a lot, so it saves around a second, I think. Okay, Gravity Man stage. We start off in this stage by doing 3 neutral slide shots, meaning we hold down, we roll B to A 3 times. That will guarantee a kill on this first enemy without us crashing into it. After that, we jump up to this platform and we shoot this guy while we do it. Then we slide. We jump up here, we shoot this guy once more on the way up, and then as soon as we land and start the slide, we also shoot this guy. If we do this fast enough, we can do a slide, fall off here, and we will fall right between 2 of these droplets. If we are too slow, or we probably can't be too fast, but if we're too slow, we will get hit by one of these droplets. An alternative way is to, instead of killing this enemy, we just jump over him with a full jump without releasing right. And we just walk off this edge, and that will also place us between 2 of these droplets. This screen, I will first go over the easier way, the way I do it. I will show you the other way as well after I finish the entire stage. But here, I start holding a charge as I fall into the screen. In order for the charge to finish, I walk on this first bit here, walk into the gravity flip, and then I take an additional 2 steps, 1 or 2 steps in the ceiling here to the charge to be finished. I release it as soon as possible. That will kill this guy that flips. These green guys, they flip with us, as when we swap gravity, they also do. So it will kill this guy here. And I start a full slide, which will slide me into this gravity flip. As soon as I flip gravity again, I pause and swap to super arrow. If you feel brave, you can place the super arrow as we fall down here. You place it. Otherwise, it's completely fine to just land on this platform first, jump and place the arrow manually. We want to place it slightly above the middle here. We don't want to land on it as soon as possible though. We want to just place it and then slide on this platform, jump, and then land on the arrow as late as possible in order to save more energy. It is slightly faster to shoot this guy with 2 arrows instead of jumping over him, but I prefer to save the energy. Then it's just some normal, relaxing, upside down platforming. You can just damage boost through everything. Right here, there's a trick you can do to save about a second, where you slide here, you come to a full stop so that Mega Man is standing. You do a full jump while dodging this bullet from this guy and this guy. So you do a full jump in the middle here, and at the peak of your jump, or well, the peak as it were, you turn and bash into this guy. If you do that correctly, you will hit this gravity flip from that, meaning you don't have to jump up here and then jump and flip. You can just jump from here and flip, which saves you a second. If you don't want to bother with that, you should damage boost of this guy. Basically from where I'm standing right now, you turn around, jump into this guy, then quickly slide, jump up here, and then jump into the gravity flip. And the iframes should be enough so that you avoid damage from this guy as well. Here we want to place 2 arrows. The second arrow is the important one. For reference, this is the perfect, what I would call the perfect placement, perfect height. If you place it too high or too low, it will be fine, but there will be some variations on what you have to do. So here I can just glide over. This enemy doesn't even wake up, and then slide off the arrow here, and I'm still left with 2 energy. The most important part is that you're left with at least 1 energy for the next screen. So if you're too low, the arrow will either hit this enemy or you will stop here. In both of those cases, I would just damage boost of this enemy, like just go straight into him and then just keep sliding and slide into the next screen. If you're too high, you will hit the ceiling here, but you can slide on the arrow to stay on it, but it will drain more energy, so you have to be very careful with draining all of your energy. Instead, I would probably just let the arrow push, or let the ceiling push me off the arrow. That will most often make the arrow hit this guy, and then I can just shoot another arrow and kill this guy, and then just slide into the next screen. But yeah, the important part is that you're left with at least 1 arrow for the next screen, because we will use it from this platform here and just glide over the entire screen. So here, right before or right after the screen transition, we want to swap to Buster and start holding a charge immediately. We can do a tiny slide on this top platform just to save a few frames, but we need time for the charge to finish. We're gonna jump from this corner, do a full jump into this gravity flip, and as we're flipping, we're gonna release the fully charged shot into this enemy, and they will also hit this enemy that is gravity flipping with us. Here we do a tiny jump to collect the letter. We release the charge shot as we're hitting the ground there to kill these 2 enemies. We can slide, go straight into this gravity flip, that will place us on the corner, do another slide, and then here we can't just slide into this gravity flip. We actually have to jump into this gravity flip to get sort of a speed boost on the way down. And then we will reach the floor faster so that we can slide and barely squeeze under this guy as he is falling down with us. If you just try to do it without doing the jump from here, you will hit this enemy. Here, as soon as we make it past this guy, we need to jump. We want to jump as close as possible to this enemy in order for the, we need time for the charge to finish. We want to jump because we need to avoid this droplet that's here. So it's just like, yeah, a pretty tiny jump. We're gonna land on the corner here. As we walk or slide off it, like as we start falling, we want to release the charge shot. This will hit this enemy and the next enemy. If you miss one of the enemies or just do some other mistake, don't worry about it. Just damage boost, like just keep sliding into things basically. Like just brute force your way through it. Regardless though, after we release the charge shot, we want to swap to Star Crash as well, because we're gonna use Star Crash for the boss. We don't need all the Star Crash. We don't need all the Star Crash, so we can kill some enemies on the way. Might as well. Alright, here's the boss. I'm gonna explain the simple strat that we've used since like 2012 or something, where we basically just hit him every time he swaps gravity. So every time we kind of pass by him, we hit him with a Star Crash. There is one extra hit you can squeeze in, like one bonus hit that I will show you. Right here. So we're counting 1, 2, 3 hits. This fight is scripted, so it's always exactly the same. So 1, 2, 3. We bait this bullet. We kind of hang out here on the left. So we bait this bullet so it's not in the way. Walk towards the center, and as Gravity Man is jumping, we also start jumping, basically at the same time, and meet him in the middle here with a Star Crash. That is the bonus hit. And then we just hit him every time we pass him. We can save a few frames here at the end by jumping into him with the last Star Crash. And that's the fight. There is a slightly faster way to do this fight. If you want to see that, you can watch Popotot's PB, link in the description. It's very tough, but it is possible to squeeze in another extra hit and save a few seconds. Alright, so here's the alternative way to do this screen in the beginning of the stage that I mentioned. So if you don't want to waste time walking here to wait for the charge shot, you don't have to hold a charge. Just do the extra slide here, jump into this gravity flip, and then as you land in the ceiling here, you do a B to A roll slide, so you shoot as you slide. You shoot a bullet on this guy, do a full slide, you come to a stop right before this enemy, and then you hit pause, you swap to super arrow, and out from the menu you hit B and A at the same time, so that you shoot the arrow into this guy that will kill it, and you also jump into this gravity flip, and then you proceed as normal. That saves a little bit of time. Gyro Man stage is where we're gonna start seeing some longer super arrow and more fun super arrows, in my opinion. So we want to swap right at the beginning of the stage, preferably after the elevator starts moving. We swap to super arrow, then we stand in this position where I'm standing now. This is my visual cue, like lined up with this, and then I wait for this cloud to go behind the elevator. That is my visual cue to start the arrow climb. We will place 2 arrows on this screen. The second arrow should be around this height, and it should be close to the screen transition so that we can land on it and jump into the screen transition into the next screen. Like this. We jump into the screen transition, and then as soon as we can, basically, we're gonna shoot the third arrow. We're gonna land on it and then do an almost full jump so that we're not standing on it while it's like charging up or gaining speed, because we need to save as much energy as possible on this screen, so we're left with at least one arrow for the next screen. It is incredibly easy to accidentally place this arrow too high, so don't worry about placing it too low. Placing it too low is still better than placing it too high. So you just do it as fast as you like, as soon as you gain control here. And then we run on at the tip, so we save energy. We can hold up to just grab this ladder, and if we did it correctly, we are left with at least one energy. We're gonna use this energy to, from the ladder, we place an arrow around here, jump up to this platform and get the refill. If you don't have if you're not left with any energy, you need to go the normal way, so you jump to the orange platform, to this green platform, and then up here. It loses a couple of seconds, but it's still better, and we need this refill regardless. Once we get this refill, we can do another arrow around here so that we can grab the ladder slightly earlier. You can save that energy by just jumping here and then jumping up and grabbing the ladder higher. So on this screen, we're gonna do another 2 arrows. We're gonna fly over this entire screen. The second arrow placement should be right above where this enemy is now. So if you see this diagonal in the clouds here, it's around middle of that. That's kind of where I'm looking. I just do this by muscle memory these days, so I'm not really sure. As soon as we land on this arrow, we need to walk all the way forward so that we can shoot this enemy with the last of our super arrow energy, basically point blank, so that he doesn't get in the way. Otherwise he will knock us off the arrow and we will be sad. If you do it correctly, you should be able to just glide underneath these 2 guys. My advice here is to just don't move. Don't try to save it. If you think you're too high, just stand still regardless. You will probably make it worse if you try to save it by moving around on the arrow or trying to slide on the arrow. Just stand still. The worst thing that can happen is that you get hit by the first guy because you're too high, and that will knock you onto this platform, and then you can just finish the screen normally. Here we swap to Buster, charge and kill this guy that's in the way, and then there's just some easy Buster platforming left on the stage. On this screen, we can't slide immediately because this guy will be in the way. We need to bait him to jump out towards us, that we have time to get up to the ladder. So I just walk here until I see this guy past the ladder, and then I slide under him, jump up here, jump up as high as possible on the ladder and go up. Here is the letter that we need for beat. A nice trick to getting that is to land on the edge here. If you land on the edge, you can do a neutral slide. Neutral slide is always exactly 4 blocks. So it will place us on these 2 blocks above the K, and then we can just stand still, wait for it to wait for Mega Man to collect the K, and then just jump up and continue. At some point during this elevator, we want to start charging so that we have a short shot ready for the next screen. Here we jump as soon as possible so that we can release the charge shot and kill these 2 enemies. An important note here is that you can slide off this pillar. You can slide here, you jump like normal, but you cannot jump out of a slide on this pillar. So don't try to slide on this pillar. You will just fall down and die. Then this rest of the screen is just a matter of like remembering where the enemies are, just kill them. It's nothing too complicated. Yeah, and we just continue on here. I will not explain this fight. This fight is very self-explanatory. You basically just hit the button, avoid the attacks. Don't hit the button too fast. And that's it. You have exactly enough energy to kill Gyro Man. Moving on to Crystal Man stage, we want to immediately start shooting as we slide. These enemies can be quite annoying to kill without getting hit. If you get hit, then use the iframes and try to skip the next enemy. Never shoot any extra shots to kill an enemy that has already turned around. The bouncing head will keep chasing you and just getting in your way, and there is no way to despawn it. So don't do that. This screen has two variations. You can land on this lower platform and kill this enemy with a full charge as you're coming down. Then use a super arrow from here, which would then save you one arrow that you can use later. However, the arrow placement requires a small jump and can be quite inconsistent. I prefer to place the arrow from the top platform here, which is more consistent. After you place the arrow, slide and do a full jump to land on the arrow as late as possible. We are too close to this ceiling, so we can't run on the arrow. So instead you have to spam neutral slides until you clear this section. Then start running on the arrow. If done correctly, you should have 5 to 6 energy left, and you can use an extra arrow to climb the ladder there. Place an arrow on the wall right around this line between the pink and the black background. And then we place another arrow facing right just underneath this line, about here. Swap the rush yet right before you hit this platform, then walk up and jump up to this platform. Don't be tempted to slide off here, since it will usually put you into the spikes. Do a full jump and press B at the same time, right as Mega Man's feet start sticking out. You have to press A and B at the same time in order to land on rush. If the crystal yo hits you, you jump too late. If the falling crystal hit you, you jump too early. I think neither will kill you right away, so it's still fine. This room is quite annoying. You just want to kill all the enemies to reduce lag and hope for no annoying drops. There's probably as many ways of doing this as there are runners. This E-tank famously only costs 8 frames to collect. Do another full A plus B jump from here. Land on rush, quickly slide off rush and swap to gyro. From this point on, we will kill a lot of small enemies by steering gyro attacks while we slide or jump. The rule of thumb is if we're sliding, we are steering them down. If we're jumping, we're steering them up. Then we just have to hope for no annoying drops. You have barely enough time to kill this enemy if you space your shots correctly. It only saves about 0.2, 0.3 seconds, so don't worry about it too much. You can easily just do a small delay and slide under him instead. This boss fight is random, but it is the good type of RNG, where you should be able to constantly hit Crystal Man with Gyro no matter what he does. The start of the fight is always the same, and it is important to do correctly to reduce lag and also sort of manip Crystal Man a little bit. We fire a shot as soon as the fight starts and start walking forward. We steer the shot into the boss and at the same time jump into his attack. As soon as we land, we do another full jump straight up in order to despawn 2 more of the small crystal balls bouncing around. This will reduce lag quite a lot, and it will also leave 1 ball bouncing around so that Crystal Man doesn't do the same attack again. And that's it. Alright, Napalm Man is next. Here we can do a trick to kill this next tiger without having to charge our buster. So as we come to a stop here, we do a B plus A jump, so we shoot as we jump. B slightly before A, so we shoot on the bottom level. We land a bit in on this platform. We don't land all the way in the corner. We do a B to A roll slide, so we shoot as we slide. And then I usually just mash B, so I'm shooting as soon as the slide ends. And that should kill the tiger if you spaced everything correctly. And start holding a charge. Release the charge shot on this tiger and be careful not to repress the B button because the tigers react to B presses. On this screen we want to do a quick B to A roll slide again so that we can bait this tiger to jumping and then we can just go over him. Release the charge shot into this guy as we land and then we shoot once more. These take 4 damage, so 1 charge shot plus 1 normal bullet to kill. We slide, we jump and turn around, backwards damage boost off of this bat. These drills take 3 shots to kill, not necessarily 3 damage. 3 shots, we need to space them out correctly. So the way I do it is that I do a B to A roll slide. So I shoot as I slide. I don't do a full slide, I cancel it a little bit early with a jump. And I shoot as I jump and then I shoot slightly after I land. It's all rhythm based, so it's gonna sound like this. So, if you do it correctly, there's only 2 drills. If you waste too much time, it's gonna spawn a 3rd drill, so be ready for that. Here we'll release the charge shot on the way up, so we kill this enemy, and then we immediately swap to super arrow. We want to place this super arrow as high as possible, and we want to slide as far. We want to jump from this edge as late as possible, but be careful for this waterfall that's pushing you to the right as well. Then from here we want to do the normal like jump off, almost full jump off the arrow and then start running on the tip to save as much energy as possible. We want to jump here. There's a very clear visual cue with the waterfall here. Jump up between these platforms and place the next arrow as high as possible here to avoid this enemy. And we want to save at least 2 arrows, meaning 3 energy here for the next screen. Here the first arrow is not a max height one. We want to aim roughly at this height because we want it to hit the enemy so it doesn't stay with us and cause lag. The second arrow is as high as possible though. And here we swap to gravity that we're going to use for the rest of the stage, and also to cancel the arrow. We want to when we fall down, we want to hit this corner to kill our momentum so that we can swing in and grab this letter safely. Damage boost of this enemy. 2 full slides, and then on the 3rd slide we use the first gravity to kill this enemy. Use the 2nd gravity to, when we jump up here, to kill these 2. And then as we jump over the pit here, we use the 3rd one. These enemies take 3 gravity shots to kill. So as you fall down here, use 2 on the way down, and then the 3rd one as you jump over here. There will be enemies spawning in these pits, these rocket looking dudes shoot up, so you can jump under them without stopping if you don't do a full jump. You can even squeeze in a slide on this middle platform, but not a full slide, just a tiny slide as you go. When we land here, we use the last gravity, and then we immediately swap to crystal, and 1 crystal shot will now kill this guy. Then we go under all these. You have to delay a little bit on the last one. So here is another scripted boss fight. This one is one of the trickier ones though. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It doesn't save that much time to just fight him normally, as I would say it. Basically the way Napalm Man works is that he has 2 attacks. He has missiles or he has bombs. So he will do one of those and then he will do a jump towards you. If he can land on you, he will try to do that. We want him to do the missiles. So after each jump, he will decide if he's gonna do missiles or bombs, depending on how far away you are from him. If you're too far away, he will try to do missiles, which is what we want, because the bombs causes a lot of lag. So the idea behind this fight is that we move towards him as we are evading the missiles. We can either jump over them or slide under them, whatever you feel like. And then as soon as he starts jumping, we want to slide away from him as far as possible, so that we're far away when he lands, and then he will select to do missiles again. And then we repeat. As I said, don't worry too much about it. The difference in time between like bombs and missiles are not that great. And that's it. Okay, in Stone Man stage here, we have what I will call met jumps. These mets are not one-shot kill, so instead we want to jump over them. But we need to jump before they shoot us, and we need to jump as late as possible so that we can clear them in one jump and not land on them. It's kind of tight, and will take some practice. But it's much faster than damage boosting. This last one is a little bit tricky, but a good thing to know here is that the closer you slide, the Met will never wake up before you jump here. So the closer you get to this wall before you jump, the longer you will have to land on the edge here and jump over the Met. Start holding a charge here. There is one more Met jump here, but the difference is when we do the jump, in the middle of the jump we need to release the charge shot so we kill the bat as well. On the screen you need to hold a charge so that you have at least a half charge so you can hit this enemy. Then we go in here, grab the letter. Then we try to do a ladder jump from there, so avoid all the damage. Start holding a charge here. We want to release the charge here when we drop off this edge, so we kill the enemy that's off screen currently before it starts causing lag. One more of those enemies to kill right here, and then we swap to super arrow and start climbing up. This screen can be a bit tricky. We basically want to do 2 quick slides here and slide all the way to this stone. Then here we do a jump straight up. We shoot an arrow and get rid of this guy falling down. This guy is also falling down, and we want to kind of jump straight up and curve around him and land on the edge here. Then we do a backwards damage boost of this Met. We want to get rid of this mouse by jumping and shooting a super arrow on him. This window is kind of tight. It's more annoying than it would seem. Then we place an arrow here. We land on this platform and slide, jump, and land on the arrow as late as possible to save energy. Then we should have 1 extra arrow to kill that guy, so we don't have the damage boost. We need 3 arrows for this screen. There isn't really a good backup, so really try to make sure you have 3 arrows to climb all the way up here. Just climb as high as possible. It's basically impossible to place this last arrow too high. And then we just glide across the screen. So here is where I will get a little bit controversial. There are 2 major ways of doing the rest of the stage. One is using Rush Yet, which 90% of the runners do, and one is using Gravity, which I do. And I strongly prefer and I strongly suggest you use Gravity because it's much easier and it loses 1, maybe 2 seconds over Rush Yet. So unless you're going for world record times, I would say use Gravity. So I will go over the Gravity route first, and then I will come back and do the Rush Yet route as well. So here, if we swap to Gravity, we can wait a bit longer until we cross this line here, like the background. Because we want to use Gravity as we're coming out of the menu to get rid of these guys and then fall straight down and land on this edge here. And then we use 2 more on this guy to get rid of him, but he needs to wake up first, so we need to get closer. Then we just use 2 quick Gravity to get rid of him. On this screen we can slide to this platform, we don't need to jump. And then just keep holding forward. And then right before you hit this enemy, you use 1 Gravity. That will kill these 3 and the next 2. Then we jump over this one to save 1 Gravity. Go on these platforms like a normal person. Here we can squeeze in an extra jump to not have to climb the ladder. Here we want to wake up this Met as early as possible and use a Gravity on him to get rid of him. So we need to make the jump up to this platform slightly higher than we normally would. Same thing here, we want to get rid of this Met when we jump off the edge here. And then this last one when we jump up on our way up here. And then we swap to Napalm, and we're done with the stage. There's a trick you can do on this boss fight. If you make sure you're walking into the boss gate instead of sliding, you have a 1 frame window when the door closes to squeeze in a slide here that will put you closer to the boss, which can be very beneficial. You can squeeze in an early hit on the boss before you start jumping. Unfortunately, I miss it in this clip, but yeah, you get the idea. This boss fight is very straightforward. Basically, all you want to do is just try to stay in a corner, bait him towards a corner if you can, so that you kill him in a corner. It reduces lag. Alright, so the Rush Yet strats. Instead of Gravity, here we swap to Rush Yet, and then we have to fall between all these enemies without getting hit. Then here we have to do an A plus B jump so that we can land on Rush Yet and then jump to the ladder. On this screen, we want to jump between these two enemies. We want to spawn, rush yet, and then we want to try and shoot the next two enemies to reduce lag. Here, thanks to rush yet, we can skip these two bottom platforms and just do a rush yet jump up to this one. Same thing on the next screen, we can do another rush yet jump to just save a little bit of time. Here we swap to Napalm early, and this changes now. Now we want to wake this guy up as late as possible, so these two jumps need to be as tiny as possible. Then we're gonna shoot this guy pretty much point blank, destroy him, and spawn the 3 small mets, and then shoot immediately again to destroy one of them and slide between the other 2. It's going to be very fast. And here we can damage boost, and then it's the same thing on the last met here. And that's it. Alright, moving on to Charge Man stage. We pause and swap the super arrow right away, then slide and jump about here and climb as high as you can with 2 arrows. I use this wheel in the background as visual cue. Immediately do an extra jump on the second arrow before it starts moving and then start running on it. This is to save as much energy as possible. The energy usage is pretty tight here, so if you struggle with it, you can slide under this first enemy instead and do the arrows later. We need 2 arrows, so minimum 3 energy to do this next trick. From the ladder, we will jump, place and land on an arrow right at the screen transition and jump into the next screen to gain extra height. This is exactly the same concept as in Gyro stage. We will then place a medium to high arrow on the next screen. The window for this is pretty big, but if you place it too high, you will have to slide under some enemies on the way. If you place it way too high, you will not be successful. Stand back on this arrow and slide under this enemy. Since arrows are traveling pretty fast, you will slide for longer than you'd think. After the slide, quickly move back on the arrow again and do another slide under the next enemy. Side note here, if you only had 1 arrow left over from the first screen, you can do it from this top platform right here. This extra slide under this enemy is often not needed, but could be good to just get into the habit of doing it. Right, we use crystal for this entire section. There aren't really many tips I can give here other than just practice. The chickens take 3 shots to kill, but remember to space out your shots so they all count. It is beneficial to kill as many enemies as possible to reduce lag, just pray for no weapon refill drops. This letter can be pretty annoying to get. You have to jump off the very edge here, and it can't be from a slide. You can try to fish for a weapon refill on these last enemies in order to refill your super arrow and fly over the last screen. We swap to Buster after we shoot this train enemy. If you see a weapon refill drop before you pause, this is your last chance to swap to super arrow. If we did get some extra super arrows, we can place a pixel perfect arrow on this gray line in the background here, where I'm hovering, and then just fly over the rest of the screen. This is pretty much as high as you can possibly place an arrow and still land on it. If it's off by 1 pixel, you will either get hit or the super arrow will get eaten. I don't show the super arrow in this clip, But if you want to see it, you can look up popot.pb if you're curious. On the way down here, try to release a charge shot to hit this enemy's head. If you manage to hit him, do a small jump and fire 2 more shots in order to kill it. Otherwise, just damage boost. The time difference is pretty minimal. Make sure you're half charging before going into the boss room. This fight is very hard and can be very punishing. Charge Man is weak to Power Stone, which is a terrible weapon. The general idea is that after each hit of Power Stone, you want to quickly pause and unpause in order to despawn the Power Stone so that you can use it again as soon as possible, and also to reduce lag. However, since it takes about 1.5 seconds every time we do that, we can do some tricks in order to reduce the amount of times we need to pause and unpause. To start off, as soon as the boss's HP bar starts to fill up, release the B button. This is to release the half charge shot as soon as possible. We then want to start charging again as soon as Mega Man releases the first shot. Jump over the boss to about here, release the fully charged shot, then pause and swap to Power Stone. As soon as you unpause, jump over the boss to the left with a not quite full jump, and then use Power Stone right before you hit the ground. If done correctly, this will despawn one of the stones and we don't have to pause and unpause in order to fire again. After that, we want to hit the boss once more in the corner and then quickly get to the middle of the room without pausing or unpausing. Start mashing B while facing the boss. This should time it so that Power Stone hits right before it despawns, skipping another pause and unpause cycle. After that, you can simply hit the boss, pause, hit the boss, pause, etc. until you win. It is possible to skip another pause and pause cycle while we jump over the boss as he charges us, but I generally don't go for it. This is exactly the same concept as the first time we jumped over the boss. If everything went smoothly, the boss should die in the corner. However, this fight has a bit of RNG. He will not always turn red after the first couple of hits. If that happens, there are some backup strats that I don't know too well, so I won't try to explain those. It is always fine to fall back to the hit, pause cycle as well. And that's it for Charge Man stage. The last Robot Master stage, Wave Man. This is where things get fun. Right, so we're gonna start up by swapping to Charge Kick. Charge Kick is a special weapon, meaning you don't press B to use it. It activates whenever you slide. This gives us the benefit of being able to slide through certain obstacles and enemies. So we're gonna use that on the first 2 screens here and slide through enemies that we would otherwise have to wait for. Like this. Going to the bottom pipe here. When we come down to this screen, these spike balls you can't slide through. So we need to jump over this one. We need to jump over them on this final screen. You want to land here, take a step-ish, and then do a full jump. This will clear this spike ball, and it will also put you in the perfect position to be able to slide through these 2 geysers in one slide. And you just jump over the spike balls, and here comes the fun part. Alright, this is the famous double bubble skip, as we like to call it. Pretty much everyone does it differently. I will explain the way I do it and the way I'm most comfortable with doing it. If you struggle with my method, I would recommend looking at some other runs, see how they do it, try to emulate them. Alright, so first screen. We swap to super arrow, of course. The whole idea behind the bubble skips is that we want to stand on these small bubbles when we trigger the screen transitions. That's a very small window next to the screen transition, because if we land on it too late, it's gonna despawn like before, and if we land on it too fast, it's gonna pop before we trigger the screen transition. So it's a pretty small window, and we need to use super arrows to climb up to them, right when they reach the top. So the first one, I look at this bubble. I look at the background on this big pipe. When this bubble starts like touching this big pipe, basically, is when I do 2 full super arrow jumps, and then I jump up to the bubble. It's pretty quick. So if you're a little bit slower on the super arrow jumps, you might want to start earlier, etc. Just feel this one out. Right, so that was the easy part. That was the first bubble skip. Right, so here I place a super arrow on this thin pipe in the background, or slightly higher. The window is pretty big, just don't place it too low. And then I do the normal jump off the arrow, land on it as late as possible, and then try to save energy. If you do it correctly, then the arrow should get stuck in this wall on the left side, and you can stand on the arrow and wait for the next bubble. So here we take a small step to the right, so that we need quite a bit of distance to land on the next bubble. So this is the bubble we're gonna transition with. There's gonna spawn another bubble around here somewhere that we're gonna jump to. My visual cue for this is when this bubble crosses into this wall. I do a full jump to the left. As soon as I land on this bubble that I can't see yet, I do another full jump to the right, place a super arrow, and then another full super arrow jump to the left, and then from that super arrow I do a full jump to the right and land on this bubble right at the top here. Small note, if you don't want to do this part of the bubble skip, you're happy with the first, just the first screen skip, then you can stand and wait on that arrow because the big bubble will spawn right beneath you, and you can just ride that one and all the way to the top. Anyway, we clear this, we trigger the screen transition. Now we need to get ready, because as soon as the screen transition finishes, we need to place an arrow to the left while standing on this bubble, and then quickly walk onto the bubble. We don't really have room to do any jumping here. We're just gonna place it to the left and then walk onto it. This works a lot better if you're in the middle of this bubble or slightly to the right even. It works if you're standing too far to the left, you might miss the arrow when you try to walk onto it. Then as soon as we are on that arrow, we can just place another arrow around here and jump up. Like that. So that was the bubble skip. Now we're going right into the next trick, which is the boat skip. So when we go into this screen, we release the D-pad, so we stop immediately here. We're gonna mash and place 3 arrows as close to each other as possible, forming sort of a big platform that we're gonna stand on. So we want to move as far back as we dare without falling off, because we're gonna use these, we're gonna slide over these arrows. So the cutscene trigger is around here. I look at this thing, it's like right here. If you trigger the cutscene, then you will lose control of Mega Man. He will it will play an animation where he goes and sits in the boat. But if you're sliding, that won't happen. So we're gonna start the slide around here. We're gonna slide on the super arrows, and then we're gonna jump into the next screen transition. It's very important that you don't touch the water before the screen transition. If you touch the water before the screen transition, you will soft lock. So, but the window is pretty big, especially if you had 3 arrows left over like this. The window is very big. So just trigger the slide, and then like right before the screen transition, we just do a full jump. And that skips the boat. We can now walk on the water, and we can even just go off screen and become invulnerable and invisible. I normally walk out to the left, and then I move into the screen a bit. While Mega Man is invisible, you can only move while jumping. If you just hold the D-pad, nothing will happen. It's important that you stay on the screen and don't go off screen on either side. And then you just try to kill some enemies to reduce lag. Make sure you have a short shot for this mini-boss. So this mini-boss, we're simply gonna release the short shot into his the green square that is his weak spot, and then just time some buster shots. It's a very slow mash. This guy has a lot of iframes. Try to not get hit by this mini boss too much. It is good to have a lot of health for Wave Man. Right, so the second half of this, we need to stay on screen. We can't go off screen and turn invisible, because we need to collect the letter. And you need Mega Man to be visible to be able to collect the letter. We only get one shot of this, and you need the letter. This is the last one. So I would recommend just memorize this entire section. Memorize where all the enemies are gonna spawn, where the letter is when you need to jump, etc. And then as soon as you have the letter, you can go off screen again. A tip here is to make sure you're sliding into the second boss door. And then as soon as you start the slide, you can swap to the charge kick again. So sliding into the boss room places us slightly more to the right. Then from here, if we time our slides correctly, as quickly as possible, go over to the boss, we can hit him twice before he jumps the first time. And that is pretty much the only time save we can have in this fight. This is a bit random, because he can spawn his first attack pretty much on top of you, in which case you will get hit and you don't have time to hit him twice before the first jump. So after that, just hit him. Don't worry about getting hit. And that's the stage. Starting Dark Stage 1, you're immediately facing one of the toughest screens in the game. We want to kill as many enemies as possible as they spawn. Shoot 2 bullets at this first enemy and quickly slide. The second bullet should then hit the tiger that is currently off screen. Shoot 2 more bullets to kill the tiger. During this jump, fire 1 bullet at this height. I use the tower in the background as a visual guide, and then start holding a charge. You can make this jump over the pit, but it is very tight. Release the charge shot close to the tiger to also get the next enemy. As soon as both these enemies explode, we can pause and swap to Rush Jet. This Rush Jet jump is very tight. Make sure that Mega Man is walking and not sliding before you jump. Once on Rush, immediately do a neutral slide, wait a split second, and then jump to the platform. The next Rush Jet jump is a lot easier since you're very close to the top of the screen. Shoot these falling enemies to reduce lag. This screen has a couple of variations. I will cover the most consistent and common way. Bonk your head on the platform here and summon Rush. then make another small jump and shoot the enemy that is in our way. I roll my thumb A to B for both of these jumps. Shoot a bullet here to take care of the last enemy. Be careful of drops that can throw you off for this next rush yet jump. Spawn rush on the way down and then shoot a bullet under here. Jump up to this corner and pause for a split second before sliding between the falling bombs. When you jump up to the next platform, you have to press B twice, first to spawn rush and then to kill the enemy. The timing for this can be a bit tricky. Simply jumping over this cannon is also fine. Backwards damage boost off of any laser from the robot. Then slide into a rush yet jump from this top platform. This fight has no RNG and should always play out exactly the same, as long as you follow the script. Since Water Wave only does 3 damage to the boss, we shoot a bullet at the very start of the fight to set its health to 27. After switching to Water Wave, the general idea of the fight is that we want to bait the boss's bullets into the top corner by jumping as it fires. The boss is essentially frozen while it waits for the bullet to go off screen, and then it will fire again as soon as it can. We want to shoot as we jump over the bullet, then shoot again as the boss is frozen, then shoot and jump over the next bullet and repeat. After the third bullet from the boss, we want to slide into him and shoot the next Water Wave and then start baiting him into the corner. Try to time it so that you're always shooting right before taking a hit. The final Water Wave should be shot into the corner to reduce lag. The closer both the boss and the Water Wave is to the corner, the better. If you struggle to do the ending of this fight, you can also simply keep the boss in the loop until it is defeated. Okay, Dark Man Stage 2. In the beginning here, we're gonna start holding a charge and we're gonna go up to the left, and this ladder and this ladder. We're gonna kill this next enemy like point blank shot and swap to rush yet at some point before the next screen. Then just a normal rush yet jump up here and swap back to Buzzer. So when we come down here, we're gonna shoot this train, and then we need to stop here and wait for this bullet to like pass below the ground so that we can slide. We need to wait here because if we try to be fast and like try to start moving right and maybe jump between these bullets, we might accidentally bait this enemy to go to the right and will hit us. Then we're just gonna platform through here, shoot some more trains, some enemies, very fancy. Gonna go over here, these conveyor belts. Here we want to do a small trick, just jump and steer. We need like a slight tilted trajectory here, because we want to fall straight onto the next conveyor belt on the next screen, like here. So we fall down here and land here, ideally. You might hit this corner and like bump here, which is fine. It's better than accidentally hitting this corner and dying. Then here, if you're brave, you can slide on the conveyor belts. Important thing though is that we need to shoot around this height to kill an enemy that's gonna spawn here. After that one, we don't really need to kill any more enemies. They're not gonna hit us anyway. And then charge up here, kill this first enemy, and then we're gonna backwards damage boost of this enemy when he spawns the shot. Just from this position, we're just gonna turn around, and then we're gonna go under this shot and jump to the ladder. Here we're gonna do a slight delay before we slide through here to time the droplets correctly. We're gonna do that by, as soon as possible from the ladder, we're gonna land on here, then do a jump and shoot this guy. And then if the jump is the correct height, then we can slide immediately when we land. We will not get hit by this guy. Same thing here, just do a jump, shoot this guy, and then if we time it correctly, we can slide immediately when we land. Start charging up on the way down. Alright, this screen can be kind of tricky. It's very laggy, and if you get hit at all, then things start going out of hand. The idea here on the first shot is that we release it as high as possible, and if we then start sliding or moving to the right as quickly as possible, then this guy will also start dropping down, and we will kill both these enemies with the first charge shot. After that, we can dodge some enemies, and we just have to kill the last one. There's gonna be a couple of these guys. So the way I like to do it is, the first jump here I do as high as possible, I release the charge shot as high as possible, then I land and slide. Then from here, we're gonna jump up here and brush this wall. We're not going to land down here, we're not gonna bump here, we're gonna do a clean jump up as high as possible, and then come down here, slide, do another clean jump, but this time we do it slightly lower, and then third time, and this time we're gonna do it pretty much as small as possible, just to clear this gap. So I like to think of it as big, medium, small. And then on the small one, we're also gonna shoot the last enemy that's gonna be in our way, because the charge shot will have finished charging up by then. Big, medium, small. Here we have the tigers again, back from Napalm Man stage. So we're gonna use the same trick. We're just gonna release the charge shot and don't repress the B button before the tiger is dead. Because remember, they only react to B presses, not B releases. Then we can start charging the next one. Release it here to kill this enemy and the next tiger. And then the last tiger. Alright, coming up is the first fight with Beat. So I will try to explain how Beat works for you. So Beat is a bird. He will always go to you and hover around your shoulder. Beat will only attack. He will attack the closest enemy if you are standing still. Standing still also counts in mid-air, basically, which is gonna not come up in this fight, but will be important later. But if you're standing still, then Beat is gonna go after the closest enemy and hit him and then return to you. So what we want to do in this fight, Beat does 3 damage per hit. So again, we want to hit the boss with a normal shot first to set his health to 27. So Beat kills him in 9 hits after that. So in the beginning here, we hold forward and we basically mash the B button both to shoot and to spawn Beat. Then I like to stop at around this point, like this line in the background, and turn around. Then I wait for Beat to hit the boss once. As soon as Beat hits the boss, I do a full slide to the left and then wait for Beat to hit him again. Then jump over. And now we're stutter stepping away from the boss, because like basically whenever Beat returns to us, we want to be standing still again, so Beat immediately goes back to the boss and tries to hit him. But if you don't move away far enough, then Beat will try to hit the boss even when he's in iframes. So we still need to like sort of stutter step away. And then we're just gonna do this until the boss chases us again. Then we're gonna jump over and do the same thing to the left. On the last hit here, you can just take the hit and then turn around That will make Beat hit him as quickly as possible, and we will kill him in the corner. There you go. Okay, so Dark Man stage 3. This is one of the longer stages, and there's a lot going on here. A lot of hard arrow usage and energy management. So I'm gonna try to explain it the best I can. Starting up, we're just gonna stick with Buster. Here we're gonna shoot this guy on the way up and then shoot another shot as we start the slide. Then we're gonna start charging. Here you can delay releasing this shot so you get a full charge, which will make this last part on the screen a lot easier because you will kill the last two enemies with one shot. Gonna shoot this enemy point blank. Right, so on this screen, we want to slide over here, make our way over here. We're gonna jump and shoot this enemy, land here. As soon as we land, we're gonna jump to this platform and as quickly as possible jump to the ladder. You will need to curve around slightly because this enemy will have come down towards you and you need to avoid getting hit by this enemy and then catch the ladder. Then we're gonna swap the super arrow. For this screen, we're going to use one super arrow here to get up to this platform. There is a bit of fancy tech here where if you place the arrow close enough, you can start pushing this platform without landing on it, which saves a couple of frames. So we're going to fly over the rest of the screen, but we can only afford to use 2 arrows on this screen. So they both have to be pretty much max height from this point. So we're gonna do the first arrow around his head, where his head is now, and then 1 arrow around this point. Use the tower in the background as visual. And then we still need to save as much energy as possible, so we need to do like the normal energy saving jump off the arrow. We want to, as soon as we land back on the arrow, we want to slide to the front so we can start running on it as fast as possible. This is very tight on energy usage. So this will take some practice. Yeah, about this height is good. Any lower than this and we will probably end up hitting an enemy in the way. And we will have to react to that. When we reach this point, I use this star as a visual. We want to jump and clear this enemy by landing on the right side here. The way I do it is I do a jump and then I lightly brush the side of the wall here, and that will usually from there I will usually make it past this enemy. If you get hit by this enemy, not a big deal. You just lose the time it takes to take damage. On this screen, we will use 2 arrows. We will slide all the way to this wall here. Then we'll jump and fire 2 arrows very fast after each other. The first arrow will kill this enemy, and the second arrow will be around this height, and we will land on it and can jump up here from that immediately. On this screen, we want to be standing on the ground, shoot 1 arrow. And then very quickly after we shoot that arrow, we want to hit B and A at the same time and shoot the other arrow. This will place the second arrow slightly higher than the first one. And then in the same motion, we also want to land on the first arrow. So standing on the lower arrow, we still need to start a neutral slide to get under this platform. When we clear these spikes, we want to move to the higher arrow. Normally you would do this by jumping, which can be kind of scary when you're moving so fast on the arrows. You can also, most of the time you can walk just across them, just walk onto this one. But jumping will always work if you're comfortable with it. Then we glide over these spikes. If you didn't have enough energy, you only had energy for one arrow, this is where you would stop. But from here you can jump into this enemy, take a damage boost, and then get up on these platforms and just clear this last section normally. Here we're gonna use our first M-Tank to refill Super Arrow. On this screen, we can do a jump immediately when we land and place a high Super Arrow. If you feel you need to save energy, you can move all the way to the blue. Like you can take a few steps, so you can do a tiny slide and then do the arrow from here. You don't want to go more to the right than this though, because an enemy will spawn. From this one is going to be as high as possible, and from this one we're going to do the normal energy saving tricks. Here you can actually do a full jump from the arrow though, because you will bonk your head on the ceiling and land on the back on the arrow without missing it. So when we pass over this enemy, we'll do a full jump, place another super arrow, then a full jump to the ladder. So for this screen, if you have about this much energy left, we can use another arrow on this screen and glide over this enemy. This again needs to be as high as possible, and we need to make sure we have at least one energy left over for the next screen. If you have less than this, it is much more important to have energy for the next screen than wasting any on this. So if you have less or don't want to risk it, just damage boost of this enemy and go. Right. So this last super arrow will be from the top platform, but again, it's going to be an A plus B placement, because we need to place it slightly higher. The window is pretty big, like you can place it even higher than that if you do like an A to B roll. It's still gonna be fine most of the time, but placing it too high is better than placing it too low. Then we need to slide under this enemy there. Then at this point, I would recommend you always turn around, so that if you are too high, you're just gonna get hit by this enemy, take a backwards damage boost, and land here. Otherwise, when you pass under this enemy, we will pause and swap to Gyro Attack to cancel the arrow. And we're gonna use Gyro Attack for the boss anyway. So, this boss can be quite annoying. He will basically, in the beginning there are a few different things he can do. He can walk straight at you, he can walk and then do a jump, or he can do a jump immediately, etc. You just want to shoot as quickly as possible and try to steer the shot into him. After that, he's going to try and freeze you. He's going to use his freeze ray on you. As pretty much whenever the freeze ray is not on screen, he's going to shoot it again immediately. So if he stays on the right side, we can try to bait his freeze ray to go up diagonal. So we can jump as he's about to shoot it, so he shoots it and it goes off screen this way, because it will stay on screen longer. So he will basically just stand still and wait for them to disappear before he shoots again. If he comes over to the left side though, I would recommend, and this is what I will show you in this clip. I will show both, but in this clip he's gonna come over to the left, and then I would recommend just let him shoot straight at you and then jump over the shot, and then you kind of just go in this motion and get into the rim. You will see. Like this. And that's the fight. Right, so for the second boss pattern, this is what will happen. right as he's about to shoot, you jump, so you bait the shot upwards. And that will give you a lot longer to just stand and shoot at him before he tries to fire again. Dark Man Stage 4. This is my least favorite stage. This is a very frustrating stage that really likes to eat your inputs and just be annoying. The idea, this is a gimmick stage. Basically, the idea behind the stage is that you're collapsing the tower by shooting these destructible blocks. So the whole stage will come like crashing down until it hits the next block that isn't destroyed yet. So there's a set way we want to do this. I will show you what I would call like the normal strat, normal cycle, and we'll take it from there. So starting off this stage, we're immediately gonna shoot these 3 blocks as quickly as possible. Then we're gonna go over and stand so we don't get crushed by the stage. As soon as the stage stops moving again, we're gonna shoot this block. Then we're gonna shoot this block, slide under in the gap we create, come up here, and then here we're gonna do a tiny jump and shoot a bullet towards this block. Then, as soon as the stage stops moving again, we're gonna shoot this block, then do a tiny jump and shoot this block and this block. So, bam, 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 bam. Then when the stage stops moving here, thanks to these 2 blocks we left, we're not gonna get crushed by the spike. We're gonna shoot and slide. As soon as we clear this spike, we're gonna do a tiny jump and shoot this block as well, and the bottom 2 blocks up here. Then from here, when the stage stops, we're gonna shoot the bottom block to get the stage moving immediately, and then shoot the bottom 4 blocks here total. So this block and the 3 blocks above it. Same thing here. As soon as the stage stops, we shoot the bottom block, we slide through, we shoot these 2 blocks. Then we're gonna jump as the stage starts falling, and that will get us all the way up here so we can shoot these 4 blocks. And then we just clear out the rest. And swap to beat. So that is what I would call the normal cycle. If you can do that consistently, then you don't really have to worry about this stage until much later. Like, there's a lot of other things to practice than this stage. If you are curious though, you can watch Top Run and see how they can skip even more cycles. Right, so here we have beat, and we're gonna use beat on this boss. This platform is gonna start exploding. As soon as it starts exploding, we're gonna hold right and mash B. So that will place us slightly more to the right, and beat, we will spawn in beat as well. So this fight is random, and you will need to react to it, especially in the beginning, at the start of the fight. The start is always going to be the very start is going to be the same though. We're going to do an immediately a neutral slide as soon as the fight starts. Then when the slide stops, we're going to do a neutral jump up and then react from there. We don't want to shoot the boss ourselves because it will just cause extra lag. We just want beat to hit him as soon as possible. So the idea behind this fight is that we stand a little bit away from the boss with our back turned against him so that beat can continuously hit him and we can just tank all the hits. The way it usually works out is that you need to dodge at least 2 of his attacks in total. You probably need to dodge more than that, depending on how good beat behaves, basically. So just get ready for that. So neutral slide, neutral jump, and then just take it from there. So now I already dodged 2 of his attacks, so if I just stand in the correct spot here, I can just tank everything and let beat handle the boss. And then we stand in this spot and wait for the cutscene. We are in the final stretch of the game, coming into the Wily stages. So right here in Wily 1, we want to immediately pick up this M-Tank and then just move on. So a spike fall here, we want to line up to the left side of this line in the background until we pass this little platform, then we can start holding right from here. Coming into this screen, you can do this screen a couple of different ways. Basically, what you need to know is the further to the left you land here, the easier this screen is going to be. We want to jump over this first spike ball, and then as we're jumping up to this platform, we release the charge shot. It's important that we release it at this height so that we miss this spike ball and we also don't hit the next spike ball, so that the shot goes off screen as soon as possible. Then we're gonna hit this guy with 3 shots and start a slide all the way to this wall. Then we're gonna jump up here, shoot, slide, and then we're gonna kill the last enemy as well. Then we kill this guy with a short shot and move on. Here we do a tiny jump from the ladder and release this short shot to kill these 3 enemies. And then here is where we use the M-Tank we picked up and swap to super arrow. So on this screen we want to land a little bit to the right on this platform. Don't go over the middle of the platform though, but anywhere here is fine. We do an A plus B jump to place the arrow slightly higher so that it goes over this floor, and then we can just land on the arrow and start running on it. Use an extra arrow to climb up this ladder, 1 extra arrow there to get up here, and at this point we need at least 2 arrows for the next screen. You can get away with just 1 arrow, but it's preferable to have 2. So as soon as we come into this screen, when we got off the ladder, we just shoot 1 to the right immediately, jump up to this rotating block. We jump to the next, do a full jump to the next rotating block, and at the peak here, we shoot the second arrow. Then we're gonna land on this block and then jump up to the arrow. So this should place us high enough so that we can just glide over the screen. Then at this point, we can swap to Buster to cancel the arrow and move into the crusher section. So I will not explain. I will pretty much just let the clip play from here. You will try to make a certain cycle in the crusher section. These enemies are very annoying. These take 4 damage to kill, 4 hits to kill. They're also not vulnerable until you're close enough to them. If you start like trying to shoot too early and the bullets tink off, you're gonna be a very sad person. So just make sure they're vulnerable before you start shooting them. I do it by mashing. It's not a full mash, it's kind of a slow mash, because that's what I'm used to. But you can definitely just learn the timing and shoot them 4 times, like normal. Here in the beginning, I just do a full slide, and as I come out of the slide, I start mashing this guy down. Then I try to kill 3 of these blocks, and then I wait here so I don't get crushed, and then as soon as I can, I start destroying the rest of the blocks here. Take a damage boost of this guy and slide through. And from this point, I'm just gonna let the clip play, and you can try to emulate it. Right, that was the crusher section. It's not very long, and it's not the biggest of deal if you miss a cycle or 2. It's a very fast cycle, I would say. So here in the chicken room, we can kill one of these enemies that the chicken spawn, one of these eggs, to reduce lag. Land in front of the chicken here, and then jump over him and grab the ladder. And at this point we want to start holding a charge as well. coming to the last screen, we jump off the ladder and release the short shot at the peak of our jump to kill at least this guy. Then we want to come over here. Here we need to wait for the short shot. As soon as we have a full charge, we release it point blank into this guy's face. This will also time it so that we kill this guy. Then we can immediately slide and do a tiny jump over the spike pit to dodge this enemy. Like that. However, if you're not full health and you get a refill from this first guy, that will almost certainly kill you. So I would not recommend this. I would recommend just damage boosting through these guys. And then we damage boost to these guys as well by make sure you take the hit from the small enemy to get less damage. Right, so this fight, I will try my best to explain it. This is a scripted fight where we do sort of a quick kill. We need at least half health for this to work, because we're gonna be taking a lot of intentional hits. This boss is vulnerable as long as one of these platforms are not in place. So when we shoot them, they're gonna come rushing against us. So we're gonna start the fight here by immediately shooting and sliding against this first platform. Then we're gonna jump up to this platform and shoot again to get this platform as well, and then jump up to that platform. Like this. As we're about to land on this platform to the left, we're gonna pause and swap to crystal. As soon as we can after that, we're gonna jump and shoot a crystal in his face and land back on the platform. Like that. Here we do a small delay. You cannot jump immediately. You just do a few frames delay after you land here, and then you jump and shoot him again. Then we wait until we are very close to him. We jump straight up, shoot him a third time. And then when we fall down, we want to land as close to this platform as possible and shoot it. So we land here, we shoot this platform. This will cause us to zip up here. And this is where it gets exciting. So we're gonna zip up here. Then, because this platform is moving, he's vulnerable. So we're gonna immediately jump and hit him twice. Like jump, hit, jump, hit. Then we're gonna take a hit again because we're inside the boss. Then we're quickly gonna do a jump and hit him a third time. And then come down here to this platform. Slide off the platform. So yeah, we jump, hit him, jump, hit him, jump, hit him, and then slide and come off the platform. From here, we can shoot the top platform, and because we still have iframes, we're just gonna immediately clip onto it. So then we can immediately jump and hit him the final time. And that's the quick kill. Hopefully I explained it well enough. Good luck. Moving on to Wily 2. Here in the beginning, we're gonna try to kill these enemies. And then as you're falling down here, you wanna shoot around here to hit an enemy off screen. And you also wanna shoot this enemy and start sliding. This last jump over these spikes can be kind of scary. But just try to jump as late as possible. Do a full jump, keep holding right until you hit the screen transition. You don't even have to shoot that guy. He's gonna not hit you anyway. Then as you fall into the water here, you just hold right so you pick up this M-tank. Alright, now we're underwater, which means that we cannot jump out of slides anymore. So we need to either wait for the full slide to finish, or we need to turn around and cancel the slide in order to be able to jump. So just keep that in mind there. Right, so as we come over here, this platform is exactly 13 tiles wide. So if you remember, a full slide from Mega Man is 4 tiles, which means we can squeeze in 3 full slides on this platform and have 1 tile of wiggle room to jump from the end. So here, the last slide has finished by itself, and then from here we can jump. Yeah, if you don't feel comfortable with this, obviously just slide twice or slide 3 times and turn around to cancel the last one. But since you have one tile of wiggle room, this is pretty forgiving. A general tip here in the sections with the rotating platforms is just keep moving. That way these guys will never be in your way. If you start waiting or hesitating, then you will probably have to end up having to wait extra on these guys. As you come to the last platform here, once you pass the middle of it, you can do a full jump from here. You will bonk on this corner and then land perfectly on this corner. And then try to hit this Met on the way up to reduce lag. Here we want to again land on the corner. This platform is 4 tiles, meaning if we land on the very corner here, do a full slide, we will stop on the very corner here. So the way I do it is that I just do a neutral slide from here, meaning I release the D-pad, then I make sure I press the jump button before I repress the D-pad. Then you just kill the remaining Mets. And we are almost out of the water. These Mets are the same type as in Stone Man, meaning we don't want to try to shoot them, we want to jump over them. This first one we can land on the platform right in front of him and just do a full jump over him. The second one, however, we want to jump as late as possible here, do a full jump and over him immediately. We don't want to come down here and then jump over him, because we want him to shoot to the right, if possible. So if we do that correctly, we'll turn around before he shoots. And then we just do another full jump over this guy. We land on the edge here, and then we do a jump and get hit by the bullets from this guy as we're falling into the next screen. That will allow us to just pass through that guy. Then we shoot that rat, do another short shot. We release the short shot around this line. Kill both of those. Here is another one of those scenarios where you can delay releasing this shot by a few more frames to get a fully charged shot. If you release a half charge, you will have to do an A plus B jump here in order to hit this rat again and kill him. Then we use the M-tank and swap to Rush Jet. From around the center of this platform here, we do a Rush Jet jump, and the goal here is to try to fly over this chicken and reach the ladder without getting hit. Then in this room, we do a slow Rush Jet jump, like a slow B to A roll. And we try to catch Rush as high as possible, but we still need to land on him, of course. And then we still need to jump over this enemy once we've landed on Rush, like this. Here we just try to go under the enemy, and then we swap to Gyro. Okay, so this fight is random. He's always gonna follow the same pattern, but he's only vulnerable when he opens his side doors here, and when he does that, it's random. But we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do the same opener every time, and just try to anticipate when he's gonna open. So we're gonna start off by holding right, walk up to this platform. As soon as we trigger this platform to start moving, we will turn left and then shoot straight up. So walk platform, turn left, shoot straight up. As soon as we've done that, so that can hit him. As soon as we fire this shot, we immediately start sliding to the right. As we pass the middle, we do a jump and fire another shot straight up. And that can also hit him. Then we just go over to this right platform, and then we just kind of hang out around this platform and just try to hit him as much as possible. Like that. it's not a very difficult boss. Alright, Wily 3 is the refight stage. The beginning here is not very interesting. Yeah, you can just do some slide shots on this guy, whatever. We're gonna come down here and fight Napalm Man. And this fight is exactly the same as the first time you fight Napalm Man. It's even the same exact arena, as you can see. And this is the only refight we will have to do. Because back in, I think, 2015, it was discovered that we can just clip through this right wall and skip the rest of the refights. So to do that, we're gonna climb to this position in the ladder. You have a few pixels of wiggle room here actually. It's not as precise as, let's say, like Mega Man 1. But this pixel will work if you memorize it. Look at the ladder where Mega Man's hand is, or his feet, or whatever you want to look at. This will work. 1 pixel higher I think also will work, and 1 pixel lower will also work. So from here we will shoot an arrow to the right. Then we will quickly climb down a little bit, shoot another arrow between the first arrow and the floor. Like this. And then quickly get up to the top arrow here. Then we want to walk all the way, so we're touching the right wall. And from there we want to slide to the left. This will clip us into the wall. And because we fired the second arrow, we will get stuck there. Like this. So from this here, we can just turn around and that will clip us through the wall. It is possible to also do this with just the first arrow. But if you do that, you would have to do basically a frame perfect turnaround as soon as you clip into here, because you don't have the extra arrow to hold you back. Alright, Wily press fight is as complicated as you want to make it, basically. I will not go over the super advanced strats. There is a much better tutorial that I will link to the description from Baron Haynes, going over every possible scenario you can encounter in this fight and exactly what you should do. I will go over the basic strat that we figured out like 10 years ago. And that's it. So, the way this fight works, the only thing that Wily does is that he will hover around for a bit, then he will look out his window, and then he will try to crush you. Like come straight down and try to crush you. He's weak to Star Crash, and we can only hit him with Star Crash when he's trying to crush us at the bottom, while he's looking out the window. So that will take us several cycles to kill him, if we only do that. So instead what we can do is we can try to predict when he's going to look out his window and start trying to crush us. And then we can jump up with super arrows and hit him in mid-air, and then also once at the bottom. So we hit him 2 times per cycle. So I'm just going to play the first hit here. This is from the advanced strat. You can ignore this part of the fight, but this kind of shows the idea of what we're trying to do. Right. So from this point, I'm on Star Crash. I stand in the middle of the room, and then here he just went back up. So now I'm gonna start counting cycles. So he's going to go back and forth. So one full cycle back and forth, we count as 1. And then he can try to crush us after 3 of those cycles, 4.5, or 7. Which means if we count 5 back and forths, then we know he's gonna open up or look out his window after the 7th. So if we count 5, we're gonna swap to super arrow, and we're gonna do 2 arrows up, and then we will try to hit him with Star Crash in midair. So 1, 2. So that was 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here I counted 5. So now I'm gonna pause, swap to super arrow, and then when I count the 6th cycle, I will start jumping to the opposite side of where I counted the 6. 6, jump, jump. And then as soon as I jump from the second arrow, I will, while continuously holding A, I will pause and swap to Star Crash, still holding A out from the menu, and then I will just try to hit him as quickly as possible in midair. And then once at the bottom. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bam, bam. And that's a much faster fight. Hooray, we made it to the final stage of the game. So Wily 4, the stage itself is very short. We just damage boost of this laser, shoot this guy, fall down here, damage boost of the next guy's laser as well. This will leave you with enough health for the final 2 boss fights. Swap the super arrow, which is the weakness of the Wily machine here. For the Wily machine, he's only vulnerable in the mouth, so we just need to place super arrows that will hit him in the mouth. If you miss super arrows or if you run out, you swap to Buster and hit him with charge shots. As soon as the boss starts exploding, we swap to Beat, and then we stand still, wait for the boss to finish exploding before we start moving, and then we come all over to the center and spawn Beat. So, the way the Wily machine, the Wily capsule fight works out with Beat is that Beat does 2 damage every hit. He also drains 2 energy from himself every hit, so you have exactly enough energy. 2 damage per hit means we need to hit him 14 times. We can at most hit him, we can at most get Beat to hit him twice per cycle. Which means 7 cycles, not counting this first one. So if we stand in the middle here, we will get a free hit in the beginning. Like that. So from this point, we need to hit him 2 times per cycle, but we can miss once and still get him in 7. There isn't that much tips I can give here. You just need to practice. Remember what I said, that Beat only attacks when you stand still. So most of these cycles are gonna be like you dodge Wily's attacks as fast as possible and then you just stand still and let Beat attack him. As you can see here, I very quickly missed one hit, and instead I got Beat to track Wily. Basically what happened is that Beat hit him once, came back to me, and then started attacking Wily again, but Wily disappeared before Beat could reach him. At that point, Beat will start tracking him instead and sort of reveal where he will spawn next. This can be very helpful just so that you can prepare for what exactly to do depending on where he spawns. Other than that, there's not that much I can say here. Oh yeah, if he spawns too high like this, then Beat will not have enough time to hit him, come back to you, and then go back to Wily again. So in this scenario, you would have to jump, and as Beat is returning to you, so that he meets you in mid-air, and as long as you're not touching the D-pad in mid-air, Beat will still consider you as standing still, so he will immediately turn around and go after Wily again. Like that. Each extra cycle you get here is about 7 seconds time loss. So I would suggest you practice this fight quite a lot until you're comfortable. If Beat... it's very possible that Beat tries to hit him too fast while he's still in iframes. If that happens, then Beat will still drain energy from himself, but not actually damage Wily. So at that point you would have to finish off Wily with either Buster or Gyro attack. But that's it. Congratulations, you beat Mega Man 5. Thanks for watching my tutorial. Hopefully it helped someone. I know I kind of rushed through most of it. I personally don't like when tutorials drag on and explain everything in detail several times. If you want more in-depth like explanations and questions and so on, definitely join the Classic Mega Man Discord, link in the description. Ask around there, look at other people's runs and so on. But yeah, hopefully this tutorial helped a little bit at least. Got you started. Thank you, thank you.